Next up, I want to talk about shielded units. These are probably some of the most annoying things I saw during the event, and it's really, really simple. These are on-curve bodies that have shielded. So you've got the Crafty Smuggler, who is in Cunning, no allegiance to Heroism or Villainy, a 2/2 body that just says shielded. When you play this unit, give a shield token to it. So you can swing onto lots of things. You have a defensive buff, so if someone swings into you, the shield pops off. Same thing for the 7th Fleet Defender. It's a 3/2 with shielded. So putting these out in space or ground, it's just really frustrating because there's not a lot of indirect minimal damage outside of Vader. Vader can just do that quick 1 damage. Lots of things deal bigger batches of damage, and you don't want to just put 2 or 3 damage into a Crafty Smuggler to pop a shield token. But sometimes you don't want to attack into him either, so he just kind of sits there, and you have to figure out how to get rid of him. Same thing for the 7th Fleet Defender. Like I said earlier, there isn't a lot of space prominence. You've got that A-Wing, and then sometimes you'll see the system patrol craft. But here's the thing. If this attacks the green Squadron A-Wing, you deal 3 damage, it goes away, and your shield just pops off. Even if you don't have the shield, the green Squadron A-Wing on defense only deals 1 damage. So you could swing this into a base, deal 3 to the base, green Squadron swings into you, pops the shield. Next turn, as long as you go first, swing into the green Squadron, this goes away, it's defeated. You only have 1 damage on you. You still have 3 attack if someone swings into you again. It's really, really annoying. Great for trades. Super good for trades. Same thing with Crafty Smuggler. You can use him to trade into all kinds of different things. It's just that these are low cost, early game, even mid game. These are just really annoying units to deal with. You could put 2 Crafty Smugglers down on, round, 2 or 3, depending on the resources you have and the color you're in. But yeah, these are really powerful, really potent, and they're commons. So if you're going to be playing Cunning, I would highly recommend grab these, put them in your deck. You'll get a lot of value out of them. The next type of card I want to discuss is going to be your removal and disruption package. So these are going to be cards that either defeat units or slow your opponent down. There's tons of these abilities in all the colors, in Heroism, in Villainy. These are just some of my favorites that I was able to use during the event. So we talked about Takedown. You could defeat a unit with 5 or less remaining HP. This is different from Vanquish. This defeats a non-leader unit. So this can get rid of anything that's not a leader for 5 resources. This can get rid of anything as long as they have 5 or less remaining HP. So this can get rid of leaders. This can't. Very, very important. Waylay is a really, really powerful tool just for disrupting your opponent. There's a lot of times where you're going to see someone start kind of trying to build either a Voltron character. So if you see, a small body and they put all these upgrades trying to boost them and make them bigger and scarier, Waylay can just return that non-leader unit to its owner's hand. If the opponent tries to play a big body to end the game on a subsequent turn, maybe an ATST or some, 7, 8, 9 drop, unit, you can just go, okay, cool, return that to its hand. And being able to disrupt the tempo of the game, slow your opponent down, essentially, if this is played at the appropriate time, make them suffer for spending resources, Waylay can absolutely win games when used appropriately. Next up, Open Fire. This is just a classic damage kind of event. I mean, you just pay 3 resources, deal 4 damage to a unit. Very simple, very powerful, very effective, and it's a common. Most of these actually here are common. So Overwhelming Barrage, or OB as it's known in the community, and Takedown, these are the only 2 uncommons. The rest of these are commons, and you're probably going to see at least 1 or maybe 2 in your seal packs. So depending on the color you're playing, I would highly recommend prioritizing some of these to at least disrupt your opponent. Next up, we've got Imperial Interceptor. So this is a space unit that says when played, you can deal 3 damage to a space unit. You're paying 4 resources for a 3/2 stat line. So the stat line isn't really what you're paying for. It's that 3 damage in order to help get through a bigger body or drop a weakened body, or there's a lot of things you can use this for. Maybe you pop a shield and now the shielded units we were talking about earlier no longer can hide behind their defenses. They have to be afraid of actually dying in combat. So this is just a really, really useful tool in order to keep your opponent honest in the space arena, because again, for some reason, people just kind of ignore the space arena, and you need to have at least, a couple of cards to answer your opponent, because if your opponent gets like 2 of those A-Wings and you have nothing to stop them, that's just 6 damage every single turn unchecked, and you can't win a game taking that much damage that quickly. Last up, this is probably... it's a really good card, but it's one of the best removal cards in the game, like by far. So Overwhelming Barrage is a green villain event, and it says give a friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase. So that bonus of +2/+2 sticks. On top of that, then that unit that you boosted deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of other units. So for example, let's pull out that Boba Fett we were talking about earlier. Oh, hey, look, here's our boy. So you got a 4/7. You put this on him, and he becomes a 6/9. And then you have 6 damage you can deal around any unit you want. Space unit, ground unit, your unit. Don't do it to your unit, but you can. So that green Squadron A-Wing, he's gone. That Sabine Wren, gone. Oh, what else can you... There's a lot of mean things. You could drop a Wampa. You're just like... And you still have that +2/+2 on Boba. You can swing, defeat something, get 2 resources back, or you could swing into the base, because it specifically says... The reading is kind of important here. So when this unit completes an attack, this card right here, if an enemy unit left play this phase, ready up to 2 resources. So if you use Overwhelming Barrage to get rid of a unit, and then you complete your attack, you've triggered the ability, and you get to, ready up 2 resources. There's a lot of combos you can do with Overwhelming Barrage and other cards, but Boba Fett uses it very, very, very well. But yeah, that's a scary thought, is just being able to give a friendly unit. Let's get rid of Boba Fett and say, here's a Wampa. Boom, Overwhelming Barrage. Now it's a 6/7. Again, you deal 6 damage divided as you choose. Then you swing. If you swing into a unit and defeat it, then, so say you've got 6 here, so you get the Sabine Wren offline, and then with Overwhelm, the extra damage goes into the base. Lots of combos. Lots of things you can do with this one card. Very, very flexible. Now, I do want to say this. A lot of people see a card and they go, oh my gosh, Overwhelming Barrage. I heard about that on the YouTubes and on podcasts. I'm just going to take it and auto slam it into my deck. When you're deck building in these sealed events, you want to make sure you can actually play these good cards, because say, for example, you get a ton of blue and red cards and like 1 or maybe 2 Overwhelming Barrages. You don't really want to auto slam this in, because it's not synergistic with your primary colors between your base and your leader. If you can get Overwhelming Barrage online because you've got villains and you've got command in green, go for it. But if you're playing, a Sabine Wren deck and you've got a bunch of red cards going in, not that one, and you've got a bunch of blue cards going in, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to put this Overwhelming Barrage in because somebody told me to. Well, first of all, it's out of color, so it's an instant +2, and it's in villainy, so it's another +2. So you're actually paying 9 for Overwhelming Barrage. That's not very good. So you really want to play Overwhelming Barrage if you're running villainy, and then you can maybe slot some green in there. But don't auto slam this in. It probably won't work very well for you. You want to stay to very strong synergies, and especially if you don't see some of these cards I'm talking about, like say you don't see Sabine Wren, okay, cool. Maybe you see something else, or you're using Vader or whatever. Just because you have one aspect doesn't mean you want to auto slam this in again. So just be aware that there are lots of good cards in the set, and depending on what you pull in your packs, you want to build around that not just force in good stuff and then come to find out it's not very functional or you can't play it. That's the worst part. You might pull, you draw Overwhelming Barrage and you don't have the resources to play it and you're just sitting on a dead card. That's like one of the worst feelings ever. So yeah, definitely make sure to build around what you pull in your packs so that way you have a strong and synergistic deck.